Alright, we should be back. Indeed, take two. Yeah, great. Now I find myself unable to find an appropriate USB-C power connector for this, so I'll just have to steal one out of the laptop that we're working on. There we go. Easy peasy. Now clearly it's a lot easier for me to connect this up initially and then just disconnect it from the main power supply. Okay. Let's see if we can get the infrared sorted out. Yeah, I'm running on the earlier kernel. This is on release candidate 4 rather than release candidate 7. And it seems to be functional. Schematics. Yeah, so I don't know what they've done in the latest release candidate other than breaking it. So maybe they took a lesson out of my book of coding. That offset's pretty bad. Wrong direction. There we go. Okay, so basically what we're looking for is to see if that false hotspot jumps away to somewhere else periodically. Or if we can see just something else warming up somewhere. Seems to be something happening up here. Could be just random noise, nothing actually happening. Alright, so there's I think it was my finger at the very edge of the bench that was getting its attention initially. Yeah, that's my leg. Still my leg. I'm going to flip the board over and see if anything different there. OSIS, I wouldn't really call this a production machine because it's a machine I can turn off at any time. And I can always just boot into the previous kernel. The other thing is, of course, because this is a 12th gen Intel setup, as each new release candidate comes out, it does actually improve things normally. Yes, it is quite pixelated because it is an infrared camera view overlaid on top of a image, and infrared cameras do not have the greatest of resolution. Not really seeing anything, so I think we've got our work cut out for us here. Hey Byron, I don't know, someone mentioned Lewis might have been on here, so it might have just been a big fat lie. Just to see if they could make me get all excited. Yeah, well, not really seeing anything here. There's a teeny tiny bit of warmth up here, but it's probably a reflection as well. I didn't even see what Lewis posted. No, nothing. Alright, well look, with nothing showing up except my leg, I may as well just give up and we'll go back to doing it properly. That is to say, instead of relying on a cheat like an infrared camera, we will actually have to rely on our brains. I realise this is a little bit unprecedented here. Unfortunately, sometimes you're forced into these situations. This is going to cause a bit of brain drain. Okay, so well, the only thing that we've definitely got is that little spot of corrosion over here, so we may as well clean that up, see what happens from there. And that was this itty bitty little witty right here. Trying hard not to melt that sticker on it, but no guarantees. Now we can actually live without that chip. It will run very slow, but we can live without it. That chip is a sensor chip. You frequently have it that they get knocked off when people try to open up. I shard gas money. Gas money? Is that like flatulence money? And how are we going? Still nothing. So it wasn't that. God damn it. Alright. Time to bring up the board view and schematic and start measuring for rails that might be shorted, because I really can't think of anything else at this point. I can't see anything else, at least not immediately. It is interesting, there's a bit of corrosion there. It's got to have come somewhere. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Development. So this is an 850. Like I said, oh, well, that's my alarm to let me know I've got to go do micro. Okay. Alright, so I'll just go get micro sorted out, and then I will be right back. Do you know where micro? Okay, and the 20. Okay, that's fine. Let's get micro. Easy. Come on, in you come. You gonna come in? In or out? Ugh. Back to work. Okie dokie dokie dokie, we're back. Right, sorry about that. Hey Harold. Yeah, PC Fix Computer Shop. How's it going? From the Philippines, eh? Alrighty. Okay, let's go quad display. Easiest to keep track of everything concurrently. I guess the very first thing I'm going to do is check PP bus. Naturally, of course, I still have not fixed up my damn software. Ah, looks like we lost that now. Well, anyway, that resistor in the middle of the screen, that should be PV bus on the left. Let's go into continuity mode. Poke some ground. That sounds pretty shorty to me. Yeah. Okay, so we do have something on PP bus. So I can only guess it's a cap at this point. Realistically, I think the simplest thing is just going to be put a volt in and see where the Christmas lights come up. I'm just going to have another visual look for a cap. You know, obviously I prefer it if I can find it visually rather than by pumping it full of electrons. It's probably going to be some itty bitty little 402 ceramic that had a bad day. No, I thought there was a crack on that one there, but it just turns out to be a piece of pointless dust. It could also be a CD3215, just a bit of junk underneath it. That's the other possibility. 7.2 ohms. It's not a massive short, not even up by a long shot. So I'm not going to get a lot of heat out of it at 1 volt, but hopefully we get enough. And the infrared camera is pretty good at picking up very low levels. I usually find I only need about 125 milliwatts of power and I can usually pick it up. Have I finished the CPU? No, I have not. It's only about 2/3. Well, we don't know if this is going to be easy or not, because, like I said, that short is a little bit strange for the fact that it's 7 or so ohms. It's not incredibly clear cut. So I wouldn't be thinking that I've got it easy yet. In fact, in some ways I'm a little concerned. That could almost be like a CPU shoot through on a MOSFET, something like that. So yeah, we're going to have to be very careful. I might actually start out in more like 0.7 volts in this case. Because usually when a cap goes, it's below 2 ohms. So we'll see. So we'll just have to go easy with the voltage level, because we could, yeah, if it is shooting through to the CPU, then we're going to cause a lot of drama. Actually, I might just do the positive there and do the negative elsewhere. Hey, Pro Engineer. Actually, I might just... choices. Too many choices. Wrong end. I don't know how secure that is, but hopefully it will hold. And we'll put the ground up here. If it's 7 ohms, it's probably not a dead CPU, but it would rather be a shot through MOSFET, like, or controllers, one of these up here. But it's a little weird. Yeah, it's not a clear cut one, this one. Okay, before I do anything, I will set my voltages. Wrong direction. Okay, 0.8, and we're going to bring the amps down just to, you know, realistically I only need about 1 amp at the most. We'll see. Okay, let's see what sort of current we get. Okay, so, you know, it's a small amount of heat, but that's okay. It's what we want. If we have to, we can push up the voltage ever so slightly, but we don't want to go too far. And we're back to the infrared camera. The big problem we're going to have now is the fact that I used the hot air before. It may have heated up the board a little bit, but being wood, it does do a pretty good job of avoiding that sort of retaining it for too long. Do not do that. Okay, we'll just line it up. It's roughly about right. Let's see what happens when we put the power in. Kind of looks, I can't be absolutely sure, but looks like something over here is warming up. It doesn't really look like quite enough. It seems to be an unusual heat development just in here. Okay, that chip again, but it could be because it's reflective. It's going to try 0.9 volts. Yeah, I'll get to flip the board in a second. Just gotta let me first check this stuff out. Yeah, it's definitely reflective. Okay, let's flip the board and see what we find. So hold on to my cables. Okay, we've definitely found it. It's up here. Just about here somewhere. Oh, interesting. So basically, we've either got these inductors, which doesn't seem right, although it could be, or up here. Still doesn't actually truly answer it though. That does look like the area where it was coming through on the other side. I'm just going to try 1 volt. Yeah, it's definitely focused on that area. Okay, so where is that? It's just by these caps here. Good. Let's go back to overhead. Shut this down. Doesn't mean it's a short though. It just is simply pointing us to where there is heat coming out. But that's about all it's given us. Just going to leave that heat on there. See if we can see anything visually. Okay, so this is it. This is oh no, okay. This could be, is this 342 gen? I'm just going to put a little bit of alcohol on there and see if anything slowly comes off. So we're not generating a huge amount of heat. Need more. Tantrum cap on bottom left. They're all pretty much muchins. Well, I can try a freeze job. First I need to get the alcohol to come off. Sometimes if you freeze it, the freeze action actually shows up the hot point quicker. Trouble is, the weather is pretty warm. Damn it, alcohol's going to make my life hard here because it's a bit hard to get the freeze spray to produce a frost while you've got alcohol in the area. So I'm just going to use the fan only. There's no heat on this. The air conditioner is on and running hard, so not much I can do about that, I'm afraid. Okay, here we go. And here we go. Okay, we got that one there. So, looks like it's possibly this one here. Very interesting failure if that is in fact the cause. Very interesting. So, do not normally use freeze spray around here because, as you saw, just, you have maybe 3 seconds. You got about 3 usable seconds of the freeze spray before it's all over and you have to apply it again, which is kind of pointless. Anyway, this one here is the one that distinctly showed what I would consider to be a failure pattern. Everything else warmed up normally. I'm just pickling it with some leaded solder because I am near a connector that I do not want disturbed. It's one of those connectors that you really do not want to melt because you can't get your hands on them. I'd be surprised if it was the ISL, to be honest, because that shouldn't be heating up. This poor board is going through temperature shock. Yeah, there's a crack. Got it. That was it. Can barely see it. It's only just started, but it's there. You can see the damage. That's very, very subtle. The most obvious part is it's started to splutter outwards. You can see just on the edge here that blackish solder mark. That is actually spluttering from internal. So that's the cap. And I suppose we can test that. I know I moved that cap there. We can test that by checking, see what PP bus reads as now. Let's go back to that position where we tested it, which is way over here. Let's see what we get this time. That's more like it. It was 7 ohms before, now we're 460. That was an interesting fault. It was genuinely interesting, that one. The scary thing is, there would be almost no way for you to realistically find that cap safely without having a camera. Because you didn't want to risk putting high voltage in there in case it was going through the CPU, particularly the fact that it was running at 7 ohms. Yeah, so it was demonstrating a potential for it to be a failed MOSFET or VREG controller. So I mean, I suppose people would have just done it, put the voltage through, and that cap then would have lit up like a Christmas tree. But it is certainly not the ideal way. Okay, we need to replace that cap. Zombie cap. Yeah, it'd be a pain if it actually showed up good and then changed its mind. Okay, schematics. Let's have a look. So that's this one, 6505. What are you? 22 microfarad, 805, 25 volts. And yeah, it's a speaker amp. Yeah, decoupling for the speaker amp. Okay, 22805. I don't think I've got anything quite that hefty on board in my parts. So we'll have to steal from another board. Microfarad, 805. Was it 25 volts, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah, free spray does get you there, but the trouble is, even if I had free spray, without having the camera in the first place, I would have not have known what area to put that free spray. And given that I only have about a 3-second window of testing, there's no realistic way I could have tested the entire board. Okay, so 239 has it, so I'll grab one of those. I'm pretty sure I've got a couple of 239s. Hopefully I haven't used up all the... oh, 840's got it. Oh. I might just use the... 239. Okay, stop. 239. Funnily enough, it's also for the speaker on the 239. There it is there. Okay, right hand chicken wing. Left hand chicken wing rather. Paul doesn't know his lefties rights. So it'll be this cap here. Anyway, it's a good example of how, even though I myself was thinking it was not going to be a cap, or it was less likely to be a cap, it turned out to be a cap. And there was a few other people who also were pretty adamant that it wasn't going to be a cap, and we were proven wrong. So it's a good example of why you shouldn't be excessively, how could you say, trying to think of the right term. You shouldn't think that you're always going to be right. Always be prepared to be surprised. Yeah, I need to put some leaded solder on there, and I need to fix up that cap there. That is unquestionably too much solder. That's the solder equivalent of Lewis Rossman's flux excess. Hey, Pedro's here. Hello, Mr. Scam You. How are you? Hey, Riston. Okay, since I'm angling the hot air over this way, I don't need to protect that connector. Now let's hope I don't regret this decision. Let's see, Riston managed to grab an Atten clone today. An Atten clone. That's kind of funny considering that Atten, in a way, is a clone, but... Jason, because Pedro is always scamming. That is Peter's life signature. He actually embraces that. He doesn't really scam, but he likes to think that he's some kind of badass on the street, and he wants that reputation to follow him. He actually came up with his own "I scam you" monkia, so he's only got himself to blame. Right, I think that's... No, let's give it a little more cooling. I'll stick it into the cooler assembly. Yes, as Pedro says, you have to have an angle, and he decided that was the one he wanted. I don't know why, but he did. Okay, 200, 20 volts, 110. Come on, 80, 500. Come on, 400. Yep, that's booting. I actually fixed it. Well, that's definitely another one for Jim Hook to put onto his board of fame, so to speak. Without that infrared camera, we would not have found that in any reasonable amount of time. I do often wonder how many machines that we have abandoned as simply not realistic to fix or unlikely to fix, that may have been fixable with the assistance of an infrared camera. I remember some of Lewis's earlier videos when he was trying to track down these unknown shorts, the sort of the weak shorts, like this one was. And a great majority of the time, it would end up, if there was nothing visual to indicate the presence, oh, I just realised I got to put that chip back on. The sensor chip. Otherwise, this thing will run like frozen molasses uphill. The only thing is, I really do need a replacement one because that one was corroded. It's okay, it's a TMP 461, and lo and behold, I actually have TMP 461s new in the packet. Yeah, look at that. Shock horror. I know. I shock myself sometimes. Can't believe it. It's a miracle. I actually have parts on hand. Is it possible for molasses to freeze in jars? Oh, if it's in the chest freezer, yeah, sure. Chest freezers are a essential household item here. Not everybody has them, but you do really appreciate what they can do for you, particularly if you lose power. It's very easy for perishable goods to suffer badly if you lose power for a couple of days, but if you've got a chest freezer, you're usually pretty good. If you have to, you can go and get a couple of blocks of ice, keep it going. Okay, pin 1 is up here. I probably should put some fresh solder on that. Milo is the brother of Loki. That is correct, Catherine, yes. From the same litter. That did not really go anywhere. There was no reflow or anything. It just sort of sat there. Oh wow. Oh, what the? Okay, it obviously was molten. Alright. That was interesting. I think I just simply put too much heat in originally and it stayed molten that whole time. I was kind of thrown off a bit because this didn't do any curling or wrinkling or anything. Just cooling it off at the moment. Hey Rilla. Okay. The old one might have been okay, but yeah, there was 2 specks of corrosion on there and I think that was enough to warrant not reusing it. I just wasn't expecting that part to have reflowed itself quite that quickly. I guess what didn't help is that I didn't put a large amount of solder on those pads, so it didn't sort of swim on them. Because it's usually because you offset it slightly and it starts swimming. That's how you know that you've gotten it to the point where it's molten. Yeah, the chip was sitting fine. I mean, yeah, maybe it's not, but it's, damn it. There's perfection and there's madness, and I think going back to tweak that without best testing it would probably be in the realm of madness. We'll see. I could well be wrong. But I will let the behavior of the machine tell me. Yeah, if I had slathered a lot more solder on those pads, then when I put it down and it reflows, you would have seen it wiggle or slide or something like that. But the very small amount I had put on the pads basically just flattened out, wicked out, made the contact, but that was about it. And so it also means when you tap the chip, it doesn't do the nice rebound or anything like that. It just sort of goes, alright, I'll slide over here. And it doesn't come back because there's not enough solder there for the surface tension effect to take place. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad joint, it just means that it's a very thin joint. And there is a difference between bad and thin. I'm not going to put the battery on, we'll just see how we go. It may need battery, I'm not sure. I can never remember on these which ones need the battery and which ones don't need the battery. You don't like using electric drivers. Only on these machines, and I basically, no, I don't have any compulsion to use an electric screwdriver on these. If it was my everyday job of building PCs and things like that, then yeah, I would. But not for this sort of assembly work. Okay, we have fan spin with an Apple logo. Cues, I don't know what to do about that software really, because it's okay, what's going on here? Oh, that looks pretty good. I'll shut it down, connect the battery. There was a weird bit of GPU delay there too. It's interesting. Interesting in a, I'm a little bit worried about it type interesting, as opposed to that's genuinely interesting. Going to see if this will let me boot into an alternate operating system. Okay. depends on how they're configured. Sometimes they will let you, sometimes they will not, depending on the security profile setup. Well, this is charging the battery at least. I'm seeing 2 amps plus. No, this is a boot recovery assistant. Damn it. What a pain in the backside. And it just gets worse with the newer systems too. Hey JCT. So we've got 51% battery showing up. Okay. I'll have to log in and see if I can run my tests. Make sure those sensors are running properly. That's basically what I need to do. But I'm not going to be able to do that right now because I don't want to risk revealing personal information. But it's fixed, you know. So that was definitely one of the more delicate repairs in terms of finding it. I'm just going to see if I can see what that data recovery is up to. Yeah, it looks like we finished the data recovery. There was no problems in recovering it. That's nice. So why am I sudoing around? Anyway, let's see. Mount, RO, device, loop, naught P2 to data. Because you gotta be sudo. Okay, ls data. Users. So they've got 216 gigs. Wow, they really pushed it to the limit there. Looks like the data I need is there. At least it seems to be. And let's see, I need to sudo. God, I hate sudo crap. Looks like they've already migrated their photos across from a previous system. Yep, 184 gigs and 112 gigs of images. So yeah, we're lucky we got that back. I'm happy about that. And I will be able to just copy that all to a USB stick for them and they'll be fine. Okay. Type sudo exclamation from previous command using sudo. What I prefer to do is to set it so that it doesn't have to ask me for sudo anymore. But I guess we all have our own ways. Alright then. Yeah, I'm used to running as root. Yep. Most of the time. Well, at least when it comes to this sort of thing. I've jumped into the wrong window when I was doing this. See, as you can see, that one there is actually a root account by default. So, anyway. Big USB, well, 128 gig should maybe, 128 gig should just fit that. Hopefully. There's probably a few things I can drop out, maybe. And then again, I might migrate it to a old spinning rust. You get the 1 terabyte spinning rust for $59, so yeah. Alrighty, that's out of the way. This will need to blink, just disconnect that. Don't want that running. And that pretty much is it for tonight. And we're finishing before midnight. That is a shocker. Which is great. It means I can do other things. Like I've got my second controller for the gaming machine arrived today. So I now have to go and be subjected to humiliation as I demonstrate how I have no skills whatsoever in 7 Days to Die, because I've never played it before, other than sitting back watching other people play it and trying to answer their questions when they complain about why did the programmers do this or why did the programmers do that, as if somehow I'm privy to the mindset of what a programmer is. Yeah. Alright, I'm out of here. You all take care. Thank you very much for watching, and we might be back with more tomorrow. I do have a large number of machines coming in, maybe later this week, so we'll see how we go. Until then, you all take care. Catch you later. Thanks for watching.